provide this leadership. Of all the missions to support peace and to enforce peace around the world, in the last 40 years, Kenya has played a leading role in one way or the other. Time will fail me to recap Kenya's great contribution in overseeing the independence of Namibia. Time will fail for me to enumerate the celebration of Kenyan security agencies in the difficult years of our brothers and sisters in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, Cambodia, East Timor, and so many other places around the world, including the many of our brothers and sisters in this continent of Africa that have had rough stretches in their quest to build their countries. We have been present all along. And therefore, it doesn't surprise us that we were asked to offer the expertise in conformity with our experience and the professionalism that have been displayed in all the missions that we have participated in. Our organs of national security, whether from the military or from the police or even our civilian detachments of those missions, all our brothers and sisters who have served in the peace space abroad have brought honor to our country, and no blemish, no blame has been visited on them, especially at the institutional collective level. They have been professional. Our forces and troops have refused to venture into internal political affairs of countries. Our troops and forces have remained professional. And therefore, the rationale of this deployment is one, we must live up to the reputation of our country's great history of collecting multilateral security operations and standing in solidarity with our brothers and sisters from various parts of the world, not necessarily on the African soil. Less to mention that actually Haiti is a 100% Black nation, and our solidarity with the people of Haiti is inspired by the aspirations of the African Union, which describes populations of African descent who live outside the African continent as the sixth region or the sixth sub-region of Africa. When we say the Africa of the North, the African of southern part of the continent, Eastern Africa, Central Africa, the sixth region of the African Union is the diaspora, the Africans in the diaspora. So, consistent with the legal and aspirational text of the African Union, going to Haiti is as good as going to Southern Africa, Northern Africa, Western Africa, Central Africa. Therefore, the request by the National Security Council is to assist us build on that tradition of many years of supporting multilateral efforts to secure the world. A safe world is a safe Kenya, and vice versa. An unsafe world is an unsafe Kenya, and therefore our security is intertwined. The security of our country is intertwined with the global security. Honorable chairs, as I have said, the rationale and the thinking around this request is that we can leverage on our participation and contribution to this security challenge in Haiti to even strengthen and attract strategic support for our internal security operations through the burden sharing principle the more, or rather as much as we want to share the security burden of the world must also share our own national security burden, so that we mutually reinforce each other. In other words, what our diplomatic agencies are helping us to piece together, as we have done in the past when we have participated in these missions, we are going to use the sacrifices we are making for the world to demand that the world also must support us, because we have our own issues which we require some kind of reinforcement, solidarity, especially our war against terror, where we require certain things. And I want to say again, Kenya will be pushing diplomatically for some of our agenda which is stuck in the United Nations, so that that agenda can be resolved to strengthen our fight against terror at home. We have pending agenda in the Security Council, which has been discussed for the last 5 years. We want to use this to say it is now our turn to be supported on this pending agenda. Number two, we want to use this deployment to also see what else we can demand in terms of support for our own internal operations, so that it's a win-win. It's a win for the international community, but it's also a win for our country. The objectives of this deployment, that's number two, is to support the Haiti National Police in maintaining law and order, because they have experienced breakdown of law and order for a long time, for some time now, as a result of gang violence, and to assist the National Police of Haiti to create a conducive socio-economic environment in their country. The mandate, of course, of this deployment is 1 year. After 1 year, there will be a review. In between the 1 year, there will be periodic review also of progress. And we'll be happy to be reporting progress of our participation, the outcomes, the challenges, and the experiences from time to time. We have put in place a monthly reporting system for ourselves, and Parliament and the people of Kenya are free to ask for as many periodic reports of our progress there as possible. Will be available, because this is good practice, is good governance to be accountable for what we are doing out there during the mission. Chairs, I also want to clarify, again, this is not a Kenyan mission, it's just Kenyan-led, Kenyan coordinated. We have 11 countries who have already committed, some of them from Africa, some of them from other parts of the world, including countries in the region, around the region where Haiti is. And the other thing is to emphasize that we are not an occupational force. We are not sending an occupational force. We are sending a force to support the already existing structures in that country, based on the request from their leaders and the request by the international community. We'll also assist in securing critical infrastructure, ports, schools, hospitals, and key intersections, because the insecurity problem in that country is not in the entire country, it's in pockets where gangs have, violent gangs have been terrorizing people. And we are going to make sure that we protect, therefore, this critical infrastructure in those countries, in that country. How does this deployment align with our national security interests? And I think this is important for the people of Kenya. What is it? What is it that is there for the people and the country through this deployment? Number one, it's a great honor for our police officers to be engaged in this multinational effort. It's a career-defining honor. And many of our officers, not many, actually all of them, we could not even satisfy the interest. Our officers are really looking forward to the mission. And that is something the committee could, the Joint Committee could verify. They are really looking forward to this deployment. It's a career-defining opportunity, and I think it will be unfair to deny our officers an experience that is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for many of them, especially those who, I think most of them were not there when some of the most active and most prominent missions were taking place 30-something years ago. Therefore, it's good for our officers. Number two, as I've said, it's good for our own internal security operations, in the sense that while we are giving to the international community, we'll also be looking at how, through our diplomatic representation, how we will be able to use this opportunity to rally the international community to also support us in our local interests at home. Already, pre-deployment assessment and engagement is ongoing, both diplomatic and at technical operational level in Haiti, but also diplomatically within the UN and the other leading countries that are galvanizing support for this mission. It is also our view, and I'm speaking on behalf of the National Security Council, who made this request, that our deploying in Haiti is consistent with Kenya's foreign policy, which recognizes that interconnectedness is a critical aspect of the modern world. The modern globalized world is interconnected, is interdependent, and therefore Kenya must assert its presence throughout whatever multilateral engagements that are there. Kenya must be at the center of those engagements to project ourselves as a country, a modern country, able to resolve complex problems at home and sometimes even out of home, of course, working with others. And I think the wisdom of the UN National Security Council, the General Assembly, to make this request was based on very solid reasons. As I've said, it's connected with our foreign policy and our policy on diaspora diplomacy. And also, we as a country will benefit from bilateral and multilateral relationships that we can use to strengthen our internal security organs. I'll skip number 3 because the IG will handle it. I'll also skip number 4 because the IG will handle it. I will go to number 5, which is the expected contributions of the efforts of the Kenyan police officers to the overall security situation in Haiti. We expect capacity building to the Haiti National Police. We expect to strengthen their investigative capabilities, their ability to conduct intelligence-led operations, to separate and silo working mentality which was there in the past. After the 2014 amendments, we have registered significant progress in terms of our fight against serious crimes. That experience will be shared with the Haitian police in the context of this deployment. Number 6, I think, is for the IG to shed light on that. The IG will also do number 7, and therefore I go to number 8. Number 8, Honorable Chairs, is the breakdown of the budget that is required. Now, as I have said, first let me start saying that the overall budget for the mission, for the one-year mission, pending review, because after the 1 year, the UN will make a decision whether there will be another request or not. The total budget is $600 million US. And that involves monies for preparing the forces, the officers, kitting them, transporting them, sustaining them there, transporting them there in Haiti, their logistics, their communications, their food, their allowances, and all that goes with that, and also bringing them back home at the end of the mission. And as the IG perhaps will clarify, we are not taking their 1,000 officers at once. It's not even strategic. We will take them in batches. That is the strategic thing to do. They'll go in stages during the period, and every stage will be marked with very careful pre-deployment planning, and so that we can manage the deployment in such a manner that we address all the factors that needs to be addressed. However, what we've done as we wait for the finalization of ongoing engagements on resource mobilization, we have agreed on a number of things. That first of all, the resources for this mission will be arranged or mobilized among the member states of the United Nations. And they have already identified the way the funds will be mobilized and how they will be made available for us. The only assurance that I want to give honorable chairs is that unless all resources are mobilized and availed, our troops will not leave the country. Not even one of them will leave Kenya. So that work is ongoing, including the mobilization of equipment. And once again, our troops, not even one of them, our forces, our officers, will not leave the soil of Kenya until the equipment that is required on the ground in Haiti is in place. So that work is ongoing. But what we've done as we wait for that conclusion of that arrangements around the financial arrangements and the budgets to be availed, we have taken the proactive measure to ensure that at least we identify, we start now identifying the officers. We are engaged as we speak in doing medical procedures on all of them, and it takes a bit of time to make sure that they are fit for purpose. Employment preparatory briefings, but to answer the concern raised by the member for Kisumu Town West, although the chair said the ruling had been made on that, the court had talked about deployment, and when the time comes to deployment, we'll look at the law at that time and assess whether we are breaking any law. But the way I understand, the court order says that deployment will be done after the issues in court have been addressed, and therefore we have not deployed yet. And the decision does not say don't identify the officers. It doesn't say don't cancel them. It doesn't say don't do medical tests. It just says that don't deploy. Honorable chairs, we are also doing other preparations around culture, around language, around many things that go with the pre-deployment preparations. We have started those ones, and we have said that the initial internal pre-deployment preparations, which we must do, any costs that are incurred is cost that must be reimbursed. Again, before deploying, is cost that must be reimbursed, even if it is the small amounts of money involved in those preparatory works that I have said. Our forces, our officers will not leave until all the resources and equipment is available. So the breakdown of, as I've said, 600 million is for the entire multinational initial deployment, and therefore the breakdown, you can get the per capita expenditure from that figure, but I have provided in number 8 a small amount of preparatory works, which are internal preparatory works, which will be 241 million. This is an amount that we shall be able to be reimbursed. And it's not an amount connected with deployment. It is an amount connected with essential preparations for those officers so that when it is green, we can deploy them. So I've responded to the source of funding. With regard to number 9, on the impact of the deployment.
Bwana CS, if you look at your write-up, it is not numbered. So maybe to help members, you can be referring to the pages.
Okay.
So that members don't
all right. Well guided, yeah. Well guided, Chair.
Okay.
Honorable Chair, with regard to impact on domestic security, I want to assure the committee, the joint committee, that this deployment will not in any way whatsoever compromise the capability and capacity of the National Police Service and other organs of national security to secure the country. We have made arrangements to ensure that we do not disrupt any of the ongoing programs, especially with regard to sensitive security operations around complex criminal activities in our country. And therefore, our assurance is that we have taken great detail to make sure that we do not affect our internal security operations through this deployment. And the Inspector General of Police and the service commanders have assured the National Security Council that everything will go on as planned. In fact, on the contrary, we expect that the next few months will escalate some of our programs in terms of security operations, and therefore this deployment does not in any way disrupt us. We'll continue doing what we have been doing, and even better. And going forward, we will be seeing the results of the plans we have in the months ahead. We have made some contingency plans, and the IG, as I said, will address point that one, question number 10. And 11 also on mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure that to monitor and evaluate the progress and effectiveness of the deployment. The IG will address that. So I move to number 12 on regular reports to Parliament and the public. As I have said, we will have a very open engagement with Parliament, with the people of Kenya throughout this deployment. What, therefore, we have decided as government is that we are going to have a strategic communication team which all the agencies are represented and will be giving regular reports. Ourselves, we have asked for regular reports on a monthly basis, but also we will be expecting you to ask us to come and account for what is happening there from time to time, and we'll be more than happy to share the experience, the challenges, and so that we can walk this journey together. And I think we are a great country because this kind of mutual reinforcement and sharing of obligations is good for the country. So the deployment, yes, is being done by the executive, but the accountability is shared by all of us, and the people's representative have a right to ask us for progress reports, and will be open and share that progress in fidelity to our constitutional obligations. Finally, chairs, is number 13, which is whether we have engaged in stakeholder consultations so far, and the answer is in the affirmative, honorable chairs. As you are aware, all the decisions before, during, and after the UN mandate was given have been pronounced publicly, and this matter has been discussed out there by the people of Kenya. They are aware what we've been doing. We also made sure that the decision of the UN Security Council, or of the Kenya National Security Council, was also made public. It was communicated. We also made sure, although it's not technically a requirement of the law, that the cabinet was briefed, and also just to note what was going on and also have an input in the matter. We have regularly briefed. I think I've appeared before you on this matter before, and therefore that has helped us keep all stakeholders informed. And internationally, we have a robust engagement with all the partners, the international community that is involved, the member states that are involved, and that is being coordinated by our foreign ministry and the office of the National Security Advisor, at the office of the President. And as I have said also, we have sent several missions to Haiti, and we'll be sending more, just to make sure that even the stakeholders in the receiving country are also kept informed of what is happening. We have had so much engagement at home and outside, and we believe all this is good for the country. And therefore, as I close my remarks, honorable chairs, I think on the shoulders of Parliament is the heavy responsibility of considering the request that has been put before you and decide in the national interest that it would be consistent with our international obligations and our tradition to deploy as requested to Haiti. I have demonstrated there are enough checks and balances, both pre-deployment and during the deployment, to ensure that our officers are in good order and all precautions to make sure that the legal and operational environment is conducive will be assured. I have also made a case that we will continuously monitor the mission throughout to ensure that even during the deployment, we are on top of things. I am confident Kenya has the capability, Kenya has the experience, and Kenya has an interest in not turning away this offer by the entire world to support a country which might be far away from where we are, but is part of the community of nations and is part of the African diaspora. I want to stop there and request the IG to deal with the outstanding issues, and we will end our presentation. Thank you, Honorable Chairs.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chairs, honorable members, I join my CS in urging you to allow our capable, competent officers to serve in Haiti. We've served in several missions and we've always done well. And we don't at all intend to fail in executing this mission. We're equal to the task as National Police Service, and incidentally, our officers are very eager to serve in this mission. So, honorable chairs, allow me to go straight to the questions directed to me by the CS to respond to.
Thank you. Let me emphasize again as you take us through using the report before us, because they're not numbered. I want to emphasize again, please refer to the page so that members can follow very closely. If you are using this document.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe let me, I wish I proceed this way. What I intend to first respond to is the number and the ranks of officers of the National Police Service proposed to be deployed in Haiti. So the breakdown is as follows. It is in two components. We shall have the headquarter team, then the formed up units. Under the headquarter team, we shall be the overall command of this mission. And we intend to have an officer not below the rank of an assistant inspector general commanding the mission. We shall have a chief of personnel at the rank of a commissioner of police, a chief of staff at the rank of a commissioner of police, chief of logistics, also at the rank of a commissioner of police. In this, the headquarters, we shall have an intelligence wing, because this will be an intelligence-led operation. We shall have investigators and other support teams, like signals, among other technical services. Then formed up police units. We intend to deploy a total of 5 senior superintendents of police. Then we shall have a deputy formed police units commanders, again 5 superintendents of police. Then support service officers, intelligence officers, as I mentioned, operations officers, liaison officers, duty officers. This will be a total of 25 who will be assistant superintendents of police. Then we shall have platoon commanders. We intend to have 5 platoons a total of 25 chief inspectors. Then, of course, their deputies, we shall have 25 inspectors, platoon sergeants, and senior sergeants, a total of 25. Then we have section commanders. These are the corporals, a total of 135. Constables will be 655, making a total of 1,000. Honorable Chair, honorable members, let me address the concern on the specific tasks and responsibilities that the deployed police officers were undertaking in Haiti. So the first one is providing overall command of this mission. We are going to provide the leadership. We shall be the lead country. We are going to support Haiti National Police on joint operational planning. We also intend to build capacity of Haiti National Police. Of course, all the operations will be carried out jointly with the Haiti National Police force. We are going to protect critical infrastructure and the transit locations, the airports, the ports, the schools, hospitals are key. They need support. Then, of course, key intersections. We shall help in provision of unhindered and safe access to humanitarian aid for population receiving help. We are going to support Haiti National Police in maintaining basic law and order, public safety, including arrests, and of course, detentions when it's necessary. We shall ensure this is in full compliance with international law, including international human rights law. We are going to adopt urgent temporary measures on exceptional basis, which are limited to a scope, time-bound, proportionate, and consistent with the objective to help Haiti National Police maintain public law and order. We are going to have regular updates and report to the UN Security Council. Honorable chairs, honorable members, allow me now to talk about training and preparation of the officers, police officers, before deployment. Continuous support, equipping them, and training during the mission. It is in 4 components. There is the aspect of selection, pre-deployment, post-deployment training, then sustainment training, and the selection, which has been very competitive. We are through with this. So we developed pre-qualification requirements. We want to do that. Then, of course, there was publication internally within the National Police Service for those qualified to apply. They did apply. We conducted interviews in all our various formed up units. Then vetting was done. Also, we had to carry out medical and suitability examination. Tests were done. Therefore, as we are talking, training is going on in our training institutions. We are tooling and kitting these officers, of course, preparing their passports. And much later, there will be the visas. Post-deployment training. So what we intend to do, and my deputy, one of my deputies already has been to Haiti, is back. So what we intend to do once we get to Haiti, our officers must understand the history, the culture, the geography, and the doctrine. Of course, the local laws, they must be taken through that. They must understand the service standing orders of the Haiti National Police and other relevant legal documents. Then sustainment training, because the modus of operandi will keep changing. They will keep learning lessons, which we shall keep reviewing based on the lessons they will learn while there. Then, of course, there could be emerging registration policies, regulations. Mandate may keep changing. Honorable chairs, honorable members, allow me now to address the other concern which was raised. And this was on the number of police officers from our beautiful country who have been deployed to other countries, their responsibilities and duration of deployment. So we've had previous deployment all the way back to 1989. We had UNTAG, this was in Namibia. We had that officers in Namibia, the year 1989 to 1990. We were in Cambodia. We had 20 officers. This was the year 1992 to 1993. Went to the former Yugoslavia, the year 1992 to 1995, where we had 50 officers. We served in Bosnia, Herzegovina, and also in East Timor. This was 1999 to 2002. We had 40 officers. Went to Croatia in 1998. We did very well. Our officers were decorated. They got medals. 20 of them were there. We served in Sierra Leone, 1998, 1999. One of my deputies served there. Again, went back to Sierra Leone up to the year 2005. We had 51 officers there. 2008, we were back to Kosovo. We had 98 officers. 06, we were in Darfur, Sudan. We had 50 officers. Where are we currently as we are seated here? We are in Southern Sudan. I have 19 officers there. We are in Somalia. I have 39 officers. We are in DRC, Congo. We have 7 officers. We are in Aya Bay. We have 4 officers. Western Sahara, we are there. I have an officer there. New York, I have 2 officers there. One is a police selection and recruitment officer. The other one is a planner. In Italy, I have officers there. I have 2 officers in Italy on similar matter. Addis Ababa, I have again 2. Honorable chairs, honorable members, allow me now to talk about the mechanism to be put in place to monitor and evaluate the progress and effectiveness of the deployment. What we've done, we are going to establish, we are doing this, a strategic coordinating body, which will be rehearsing, receiving, compiling quarterly reports from the formed up units, and regular updates on the ongoing in the mission. Therefore, this honorable house, both houses will be informed on what is happening in Haiti as officers are there. Then within the formed up units, we have monitoring and evaluation teams. Again, we'll keep providing monthly progress reports to the mission headquarters, which in turn will get back home. Maybe briefly, the last one, as I conclude, I was asked to talk about briefly on contingency plans in place to address potential gaps in our law enforcement capabilities during the deployment. Yes, we've looked at the use of force. That is a matter we're looking at. Then conduct and discipline of officers, concept of the whole operation. Thank you, Honorable Chairs. Thank you, Honorable members. Asante sana.
Thank you, CS. And thank you, Bwana IG. I think the last part of your presentation, really the presentation by the IG, to some extent is not part of this document here. You've given very, very good presentation. Maybe I might propose that we need part of that document so that it forms part of our reports to enable us to our report. Secondly, I think members have really keenly listened. I want to thank members for giving time to the IG and the CS to make their presentation uninterrupted, so that now then we can be able to proceed and seek further clarification. And I propose, my co-chair, that we proceed to allow, because now we actually have about, we should be done by midday. Now it is almost half past, so we have about half an hour just to interact with this, with the CS and the IG. So I want now to allow members to raise concerns, clarifications, questions. It is really an interaction, and I think we have given a very comprehensive presentation. Okay, my co-chair.
Thank you so much, Chair. And I equally want to appreciate his a very elaborate and detailed explanation of the issues raised. So just to be very clear, for avoidance of doubt, the IG presentation, because it deals with the numbers and a bit of the history on how countries Kenya participated in the previous times, you need to provide is it is a property of the House. So you need to provide a written to the Secretariat. And
Chair, we will make it available.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe before there is you did appear before the National Assembly Committee before, and as you also affirmed or confirmed, the advanced team led by Gabo, your DIG, I know they were there before. I think it could be also necessary and important. It will enrich our report writing because Kenyans are very eager to know the status, what were their finding. So I don't know whether we can also get that.
Well, we can also provide, actually, we were looking at the 13 issues that were raised. That was not part of it, but there is a report which we can share on the, the advanced team that went there. We can share the highlights and the findings of that report. Maybe if we can get a timeline, we can comply.
Because we'll be tabling it probably on Tuesday, and the report will be done maybe over the weekend, depending on the interest from the stakeholders. We can, the earlier the better for us.
Can comply by close of business today,
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noted it was not captured, and it's very critical, because it will really determines how we are going to go about it. So maybe we can let members react first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vice Chair for the Security National Assembly.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. CS, mine, first of all, I want to take you from the known to unknown. I participated in Angola verification mission in Angola, and also in AMISOM in Somalia. So I would understand what you are going through. Saying Kenya is the lead nation, actually it means we'll carry the highest responsibility in this particular mission. So my question is this an all-police mission? Because in many instances, you have the military stabilizing the security environment, and the police come largely in terms of shaping the operational environment and keep law and order. Secondly, the security environment has been painted to be very hostile, with gangs, criminal syndicates, armed groups. The question I have is, are you going in on a light role or mechanized? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Kaluma. Honorable Kaluma, sorry. You are not just Kaluma, you are Honorable Kaluma. No, it's not a senior
I was
council.
upgraded. Yeah, joint chairs, I regret I did not sit with the joint committee when you first sit, because I was on other duties out of the country. But I'm pleased to join you in this critical discussion. Chair, I have two issues. And maybe before I mention them, let me confirm that I have full confidence in the capacity of our National Police Service to do their work. I also have full confidence in the ministry and the command of the police service. And so I would support anything that the police are required to do, but only within the law, because that is also required. And so, joint chairs, have looked at the provisions of Article 240, sub-article 8A of the Constitution. And what it says, literally, joint chairs, is that the only time this provision would be invoked and the Cabinet Secretary and the IG would be before Parliament is when they are deploying the forces out of the country, in which case they are seeking parliamentary approval. And I've read the statement of the Cabinet Secretary. That is what he confirms is doing. And that is why we would be reporting after this meeting, following the Speaker's remission of this matter before us, back to Parliament. So however we frame it, the authority of Parliament is being required under Article 248A to approve deployment. And so my thinking, joint chairs, is that however we ruled before, if the matter of deployment has been barred by court, then we are going against the sub judice rule. But that can be raised on the floor. That was my first issue. We may answer it here. It may be a matter to be raised on the floor for clarity, because we are here for parliamentary approval, for deployment, full stop. We may say we are doing preparations, but it is all towards deployment. And if that has been bad, I'm worried we could fall afoul of the sub judice rule. Chair, my most substantive issue, and the last one, is that when we put the citizens of the country on arm's way, it is a serious matter. And that is why Article 240, sub-article 8A, requires the approval of Parliament, the two houses of representatives, before you do so. Chair, I've looked at the provisions of Article 240 on the roles of the National Security Council, including deployment, very keenly. I've looked at Article 241, sub-article 1, on our Kenya Defence Forces. And the only time forces are referred to or used in respect of state security organs. I've looked, Chair, at Article 243, sub-article 3, on National Police Service, particularly on the statement that the police shall be a national service, not a force. Chair, we may take it as semantics, but it is not. Kenya was previously a police force under the old constitution. Now it is a service. And the constitution at that provision says so. Chair, I've also looked at Article 245 relating to the command of the police. An independent command over the police is vested in the Inspector General, in whom I have full confidence. And Chair, I've also looked at the functions of both administration police and functions of Kenya Police, both under sections 24 and 27 of the National Police Service Act. My conclusion, Chair, is that all these laws put together do not permit the deployment of National Police Service officers for policing duties outside of the country. We may take them in the manner the IG has confirmed, but that is when we are giving reciprocal technical support, like those ones in which we are sending 1, 2, to help them establish their security environment better. And so, Chair, I'm personally bothered that the whole substratum of this request would only be entertained if it was a request to deploy our Kenya Defence Forces under the Constitution, not the police. And I would request for, the good mind of the CS, who is a fellow learned friend, or better years than me, on this matter, because we want to be sure that as a rule of law country under Article 10, we are doing the right things.
Okay.
We don't want, Chair, a situation where we fall afoul of the law, then something happens, and then we have a problem. Lastly, Chair, I would request that we will need to see the mandates so that we know what this request is about in terms of the duties we need to send these people for. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kaluma. And that is the reason why we're here today, so that we really look at all the issues of concern to these members and indeed Parliament. Now, we've agreed with my co-chair that we will take the first 3, then the CS and the IG will deal with those issues. Then I will take another 3, round of 3, and then they deal with it. And then my colleague will take another 6 so that we move forward. Members, I would plead that as you raise an issue, you be direct to the point. Just be specific. What is the issue? Kaluma had to build his case on the issue of the law, because his issue is actually legal. It's a legal issue, actually constitutional, so to speak. So don't go that route again, because it will take a lot of time. I would like to request to give the floor to my vice chair. We will come back to you. I will come there. Nyamu, then I will take another 3 after they respond.
Thank you, Chairs.
Yeah.
I am very skeptical about the request by the UN to have Kenya lead this mission, and this is because I'm curious of how they decided that Kenya should lead this mission. Because first of all, we might not be the country that has the most a police service with the expert training or what is required. And given the fact that other countries that have more skilled police than us have withdrawn the police already. And so I would advise that we be cautious about it. Secondly, the IG of police, you have said that you have several officers already deployed in other countries, in other missions. No, I'm not done.
Okay.
And some are currently deployed in Congo, Sudan, and other places. Did you have that decision before they were deployed? Did you have them approved by Parliament? And if you want to liken this mission to other missions, why is this one special? Why are you seeking the approval of Parliament in this particular one? And lastly, Chair, what will be the selection method used? Will they have to apply? Will they go for interviews? Will they take medical tests or the suitability tests? What is the process of being picked for this mission? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I think some of the issues members raising have already been dealt with in terms of pre-deployment. You already captured, but I think it's just good to summarize that in terms of a question. So CS, you can deal with the three concerns by members. You can share in the manner you wish to.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chairs and honorable members, with regard to the issues raised by the Honorable Dino Raso, yes, it is true that Kenya, being a lead country, comes with responsibility. That responsibility is in terms of backstopping the multinational arrangements. We believe that the Kenyan personnel in the National Police Service has the necessary skills to provide that leadership of putting the teams together, planning together, and also leading in the operations. The expertise is there. That is where our responsibility starts and ends. The other logistical, financial responsibilities, those ones, as I've said, are shared by other. Our lead role is in the expertise, and I believe we have it. Number two, the Honorable Raso also raised the issue of the picture that has been painted of the security situation there. As you will see when we will present the highlights of the findings of the pre-deployment mission to Haiti, which was done by the technical people led by the DIG for Administration Police Service. The whole country, I think much of the country is fairly safe. There are safe parts, are pockets of mainly urban areas, and even within the main urban areas, just like one would give an example of our Nairobi today, the safety issues are different in different areas, and therefore they are just pockets of where those gangs have congregated. Other spaces are fairly safe, reasonably safe, but it is true there are security challenges there, and that's why this deployment is sought. And therefore want to assure the committee that the concept of operations, which has already been agreed on and is being developed and reviewed, will make sure that the operations are not only intelligence-led, but they are also carried out in a way that does not expose our officers. In any case, members know the work of police officers, even those who work within our borders, has an element of risk. It's only that the operations should be planned the same way we are planning our internal operations in counter-terrorism, counter-banditry, is the same way we'll plan there. I have no doubt whatsoever that our expertise and capability to plan sensitive and complex security operations exist. Number three is very valid concerns raised by the member for Homa Bay Town, the Honorable Kaluma, about the legal issues. I am convinced, Honorable Chairs, that first and foremost, the sub judice rule does not apply. Selection, training, preparation, approval of deployment is not deployment. It's not deployment. Deployment is deployment. Number two of Honorable Kaluma's concern is that a total reading of the articles he cited, 241, 243, as well as the section 24 and 25 of the National Police Service Act, does not lead us to conclude as he has concluded, because what our police officers are going to do there is to support the Haiti National Police to enhance their capabilities to enforce law and order. And therefore, that support role removes any legal complications in terms of having a national police service serving in another country, if that was the stretch of the imagination. And I think these are healthy legal discussions we must have. And I think Kenyans should not take too much out of some of these contributions, like the ones coming from the Honorable Karuma, because in a democracy, you expect this discussion so that we make sure that we act within the law, we respect our constitution, and what we do is supported by the constitution of our country. I am convinced beyond doubt. I am willing to defend this position and to provide a clear legal backing for this mission. Neither the Constitution, nor the National Police Service Act, nor any other law of this country will be violated. Honorable Chairs, also, the issue, the last one, before I give the IG to handle part of the last interventions by the Honorable Karen Nyamo, Senator, I wanted to say that is asked about how the recruitment was done, and I think the IG handled that. But I want to appeal to Senator Karen Nyamo not to be skeptical, because the exposure of security officers is part of their JD. What we do is to ensure that nothing or no, we are not negligent. We must be sure that the officers work in an environment that is well planned for, and that all the factors have been addressed and will succeed. And I think time has come for us to start giving confidence to ourselves as a country, and the defeatist approach that perhaps what everybody else has been unable to do, we can do. I am not of that opinion. The IG here and his team are very convinced that the operation is very feasible. The assessment that was done by our team there, led by the DIG, returned a positive verdict, only that certain things has to be assured, and the IG is working to ensure that by the time we deploy, those things have been done. And some of them are things we cannot say on cameras. The last one, IG maybe can address to, I think, is the selection method, and maybe you can complement what I've said, whatever I've left out.
Thank you, sir. Honorable chairs, honorable members, maybe I start with Honorable Karuma. Thank you for the compliments. No wonder I'm seated to the CS, who was on 2 occasions rated the best performer. Therefore, don't, Senator Nyamo, please don't doubt the capacity of your police officers.
Bwana IG, she has a right to doubt, but we just tell her not to, but she will have the right to doubt. And I think her concern was not even to doubt, but just allow her that right. That's why you are there, to help.
Thank you, co-chair. Thank you, honorable co-chair. We've done well, as I stated in the past. And it's worth mentioning, we have been leading the African policing mechanism, the continental policing mechanism, for the last 2 years. The term was ending in October. Other countries have said, Kenya National Police Service, you've done well, continue, even beyond the 2 years were allowed. Therefore, that's why I have no doubt in terms of discharging these mandates. We are going to Haiti to do this country proud. From where we sit, we are not failing. We are not going to Haiti to fail. About the selection, as I mentioned, Senator Karen Nyamo, it was very competitive. Selection already has been done. It was very competitive. Very competitive. As I said, the officers were taken through medical examination, other suitability tests. It was very fair. And therefore, I'm very comfortable with the integrity of their process. I've addressed all the issues.
You are honorable co-chairs, if you allow me 1 second to add that, again, for the sake of the legal fraternity and my brother, the member of parliament for Homa Bay, the role that our officers are going to do alongside officers from other countries is a support role. They are not going to do policing in Haiti. They are going to do a support role and working together with the Haiti National Police. And the operational order will define how that support is done, including things like arrest, detention, etc., etc. Finally, we will avail, as requested by the Honorable Kaluma, as we do the submissions by end of day of the documents that have been directed, we submit. We'll also submit the exact text of Resolution 2699, which has the mandate, which is couched in words like supporting the Haiti National Police.
Like now we are done with the first round. There is a member who walked in. I think, Korere, you need to be on record.
Thank you, chairs, and my sincere apology for coming late. I'm Sarah Korere, MP Laikipia North, and a member of the Security Committee in National Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will give 1 senator and then 2 members from National Assembly, and then we move Dulo, Senator Dulo. Oh, another member who came in. Oh, Kaunya, sorry. You know, he's an expert in this line.
Thank you, the co-chairs. My name is Oku Kaunya, a member of parliament for Teso North and a member of the administration and National Security Committee, National Assembly.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. No, I wanted you to just be on record.
Yes.
I will give Dulo on the Senate side. Then we come to Fatuma and Sigei. Then from there now, my colleague will take the rest. Each one of you will have time to say something. Chelule, sorry, I think you will be in the next list.
Thank you, Chairs.
Okay.
And thank you, CS and the team for the brief. Number one, I think you said the expense of the team that is going to Haiti is taken care of by the international community. And again, you said, as a country, we are also getting support as a result of exchange. Are you able